interesting times, to say the least. Uncharted territory for all of us. Mixed emotions on everything. If you look at all the work that goes into a season by the players, the staff, all the support people, it's a kind of a sad feeling. But if you take a step back and look what's right, at least what experts are saying is right for the country and right for our community and right for our families and the players, I think it was absolutely 100% the correct decision. So, again, mixed feelings, but, Josh and the commissioner of the Big Ten and as well as the other ADs have put a lot of time in on this. They've made very good, educated decisions, and I'm very comfortable with how it's been handled and what we're doing to keep everybody safe.
Hey, Dan, this is Jeremy Warner. I'm just wondering, can you take me to the moment you got a call that this was all done and what your reaction was and how you kind of go about trying to figure out how to tell your players something you've never had to do before as a coach?
Sure. Well, to be very honest with you, I left town earlier in the morning on Thursday because our son Zach plays at Logan Community College, which is right down by Carbondale. And so I was watching his game, and the team was going to come down. We're going to practice at SIU and then play. Now let's go back a day. As soon as we started getting information that the Big Ten tournament was going to be conducted, at least at that point, without fans in the stands, I thought it was just a matter of time before there were some things that were going to change with our season. I really thought that we had a great or strong possibility that we would be canceled. I didn't know what the time frame would be, but I really thought we'd be canceled because I knew that Josh and the people that really had the information on the concerns and the virus we're not going to let our athletes be in a bad situation. So I was down there. I got the calls. I communicated things that I knew a little bit in advance of things going public. I communicated those with our coaching staff, and we had made a change in our schedule because it was going to rain later in Southern Illinois, so we were going to practice at home first and then head down. That's a decision we made around noon. I called our coaches, and immediately they kind of changed what was going on in practice, had a much different practice, let everybody in BP hit, had the pitchers hit, just tried to have some fun with them, knowing that there was going to be a blow to them, in just a matter of minutes. So our guys left practice, and then things were pushed out publicly. I communicated with them via text message, and also communicated with a couple of other guys on the team personally. And then we set a meeting. I told them we would either have a meeting that evening when I got back or the following day. We ended up having a meeting Friday afternoon. I pushed it back that long just so we had more information. And then, we had what I consider was a good meeting under the circumstances.
Coach, this is Dave Kerner, WBBM Radio. Can you tell me where it stands at this point on what could be another year of eligibility for your seniors?
Yes. I'll give you, what we have gotten from the NCAA at least this point. The initial thought process is that seniors, as well as basically every spring sport athlete will be granted another year of eligibility. Now, they've said that initially. There are a number of things that they're going to have to work through. I mean, that has great implications from a financial standpoint for each and every school. That has roster size, not concerns, because I'm sure they'll expand, but there's going to be things that need to be addressed from a roster size standpoint. There'll be things that need to be considered from a scholarship standpoint. And then as you look at how it would affect baseball, if everybody's granted another year of eligibility and then you have an incoming freshman class, this is going to be a 5-year period to get things back in order from a scholarship standpoint and a roster standpoint. So a lot of things the NCAA is going to have to sort out. Some things that people, I'll just give you a couple of examples of things that I'm sure they've thought about because it's been thrown at them, but when you make the decision, you probably haven't thought through. The junior colleges, NJCAA, canceled all spring sports yesterday, and so now all those athletes will be granted another year of eligibility. So the junior college players that we have coming in, I would assume they'll have 3 years instead of 2 years of eligibility. Some of the junior colleges that may not have the capabilities to do a lot of online classwork, do they go to pass-fail grades, and then how does that affect GPAs as far as it pertaining to student-athletes being able to get certain scholarship or financial aid that doesn't count against a team because they need to be above a 3.0. So if you look at the number of issues that they're going to have to sit down and work through, in my mind, it's going to be several weeks, a month, whatever the time frame is. It's not going to be something that they can sit down and give us absolute parameters on in the short term.
Hey Dan, Eric Fisher from Orange and Blue News. Have any of your seniors communicated to you or showed interest in this extra year of eligibility?
So to be fair with them, when we had our meeting, I made a general statement to those guys about the looked like they were going to be granted another year of eligibility, and that would love to talk to the guys about that. We had one senior stopped in right away, and we had a conversation about different avenues or things that could happen. We're still in a wait and see mode. Quite honestly, I did not and have not to this point had those conversations with our seniors because I don't think it's fair to have them yet. I mean, we're less than a week out from those guys having their world turned around on them. And so I want to give them some time to digest things a little bit, let things settle down, and then be able to have some conversations with them where the emotions won't be as high.
Hey Dan, Gavin Good here with the Illini Inquirer. Just generally in these times, what has it been like trying to lead a team and a group of guys through something like this, and how have they reacted?
Well, I think we have to start at the top. If you look at the leadership we have in our conference with the commissioner, and then you look at the leadership from Josh, and then our administrators, Jason Leonard is the person that oversees baseball. They've given us great leadership. We've had great communication, and they have done an unbelievable job working with and talking to the staff, and then actually having conference calls for our players as well as parents. So that has made things a little easier than I think may have happened in some other situations. I also think, when I went to the meeting to discuss collecting equipment and guys having to move off campus and going home for an extended period of time, the opportunity for our staff to walk in and tell the guys that the NCAA was considering and would probably grant everyone another year of eligibility, that kind of took the edge off of the meeting a little bit. And I say that because it gave guys hope and a little bit of vision on, okay, this this is how we can approach things. So the way that I approached it with our team, just told them, we need to make a positive out of a very, very tough situation. And, everyone was just granted a red shirt here. And if you look in most situations, when someone redshirts for a year and really works at it and matures physically and gets stronger and matures a little bit more mentally, they are much better players after that red shirt year. And so that's the way I've approached it with our guys is we've all been granted a red shirt year. We need to take advantage of it from a number of directions. And at this point, that's all we can do. And I thought guys, I know guys were extremely disappointed, but I think they had a great vision on, hey, something was taken away from us, but we're not going to sit on it. We're going to find a way to move forward and be better, both as human beings and as athletes moving forward.
Coach Dave Turner, Scott Beatty from.
Dan, have you had a chance to maybe
go ahead
some scouts and find out what ramifications might be for guys that have some pro prospects, maybe how that could affect the draft process, or maybe is that something that you've thought about yet at all?
Oh, I've had plenty of time to think, believe me. So the answer is yes. I have had a time to talk to a number of, I wouldn't say a number. There's a select group of scouts and people in front offices that we have very good relationships that I really respect their opinions and know that they will give me straight answers based on what they think will happen in their industry and also what they feel like would be best for players. So the thing, I'll tell you what they are telling me, at least some information I've gotten, and I'm going to give you my opinion, and please don't cross those over because they're different. The information that I've gotten is very simply, at this point, nobody knows what's going to happen with the draft. I've heard from one person they are fairly certain there will be a draft. I heard from another person that they could see it go to a point where there is not a draft. The thing that we do know right now is that Major League Baseball has shut down scouts. They're not supposed to be contacting potential prospects. They're not allowed to administer tests. There's nothing that they can do at this point, at least within the rules and what's happened with the shutdown of Major League Baseball. Okay, so lots of unknowns. Now, my opinion on some things that could happen. I truly think there will be a draft. Whether it happens in June or if it's pushed back, I think that's yet to be seen. One thing that I could see happening, and this may be far-fetched, but thinking out loud, and the fact that opportunities for evaluations are going to be slim to none for a while, and maybe into the summer. I could see them basically shortening the draft, have it compacted. I don't know how many rounds that is. I don't know if it's 5, 7, 10, 20. I don't know, but I think they could cut it down, go after the high prospects that they feel really good and sure about, and then move forward with everybody else they have in their organization. I think that would be something that would be fairly realistic. The owners and the organizations are not going to want to waste money. They're not going to have as much information. Players are not going to have as big a resume. And they're not going to know where they're at this point in their playing careers because everything's been shut down. So it's wide open. I think we have a few guys that would have draft possibilities, but this year I don't see guys that are high drafts, and so I think there are going to be some great options for some guys, whether it's the opportunity to go in the draft, or even some guys to come back and finish their degrees, and a couple guys yet maybe the opportunity for them to come back and get their masters. So, again, the way I've approached with our guys is, we have to look at it from a positive standpoint, and here's all the things that could happen. A lot of unknowns, but this could be a golden opportunity for you to get a master's degree, get it done, put it behind you, and not have to worry about your education moving forward.
Dan, it's Scott with WDWS, Scott Beatty, and the season such as it was in short, your thoughts on it, and what might have been, where it was headed.
Well, I thought we played very, very well at times, and then there were times that it looked like we hadn't practiced. I was proud of the way we competed against UCLA. I'm sorry, not UCLA. That was a game I didn't think we competed well, but against Texas A&M and Oklahoma State. We played well against West Virginia and Coastal Carolina. Those teams are very, very good teams year in and year out. I thought they were good teams this year. I thought we played extremely well against them, and I thought we showed our potential. A number of other games, and not all the other ones that I didn't mention, but a number of other games, even during wins, I thought that we showed our youth. And I really thought that we would have some great days and some very mediocre days. And I thought we would grow and get better and better as the season progressed. I was excited about this group. As I've said all year, this was a fun group to be around. I thought they cared about each other. Our leadership was very, very, very good. And when you have very good internal leadership in that locker room, it really helps for things to go the right direction. And it also helps you as a coach to be able to push a team because you're going to have the proper backing and some people helping the young guys with the thought process on what was going on and why things were happening. So, I really thought we did a good job of making great progress between week 1 and week 4, and that's something that we talk about all the time. A lot of learning went on that first month of the season. I mean, we learned a lot, and guys, had to understand what was on the line each and every day as far as working to gain RPI points or not gain them, however you want to look at them, but put yourself in better position. We had a lot of guys that had to learn to understand that, just because I had a good game may not have been a great day for the team, and the team's most important. And I thought our leaders did a great job of teaching those types of things. So, again, we made a lot of progress. I thought we had a chance to be a very, very solid team and be in the upper probably third of the Big Ten. And I was excited about some of those upcoming games.
And then this has probably been a long. Sorry, one more follow-up. This has probably been a long time since you haven't been around a game at this time of the year. How's this been for you?
Well, it's been interesting. I got a text on Saturday from somebody, and I told him this is the first time in 37 years that I've not made a baseball-related decision on the weekend in March. So different. I walked down after working out and showering on Friday, and my wife was sitting at the table with one of her friends having coffee, and I just smiled at her and said, "Okay, what are we doing this weekend?" And she looked at me like, "Oh crap, I've got to put up with you for 3 or 4 more months that I usually don't have to." So that was an interesting conversation. I've tried to stay plugged into what's going on in the department, the decisions that Josh and the group have made, trying to do as much research as I can to help our players understand, what's going on. So that when I communicate with them over the next couple of days, because I've kind of left them alone a little bit, but I need to communicate with them on where I see things going, and what happens in certain situations. What if we're confined, for 2, 3, 4 more weeks? How do we need to handle that to continue to progress? One of my major things that I need to spend some time with is helping guys to understand the importance of them jumping right back on the academics on Monday morning. So I've been busy with things that I didn't think I would be busy with, and I've been busy trying to do things that are going to be productive for the entire group. I think things hit me a little bit harder probably this morning when I got up to drive to Southern Illinois to pick up our son, because that was one thing I enjoyed every day as far as a release. Watching his games and watching his progress and helping him with his struggles, it kind of got me away from the work world a little bit, which was enjoyable. So, getting up this morning and going down so Zach can move on to the next chapter of his life, that was kind of eye-opening to me. And I'm sure it's the way a number of parents felt coming to get their sons when they picked them up, this past Friday.
Coach Mark Pearson, WAND Sports. Just in your 30 years of coaching, obviously nothing is exactly like this, unprecedented times, but is there any a time that was maybe similar in your 30 years of coaching to this?
I would say the only time that I've had that absolute helpless feeling is 9/11, but it didn't affect our season. But as far as just complete change overnight, I don't think anybody has experienced that. That's probably in our given generation. Obviously, we have things that change our lives with tragedy and death within our circles and our groups, and losing people that we care about. But some of the things that affect our daily life outside of family, we haven't had these things, and so it's uncharted territory for us. Just talking to some people, they said the last time they thought there was this type of shutdown maybe had been World War II. I don't know, what different epidemics, have shut the country down, or at least slowed it down in the past. I don't know if that's polio or what it might be, but no, I've never experienced anything to this magnitude. I do believe, and what I told our players is, this is something that I think we watch the news and always say, this doesn't happen in the United States, it happens everywhere else. And so I think it's going to be humbling for our country. I think it's going to make a lot of people appreciate things that we take for granted. And hopefully, when this is all said and done, we're a stronger country, and the leadership continues to make great decisions to help us move forward and get back to our normal, what we consider normal routines.
Dan, Brandon Comia was in the midst of the start to what might have been a really special season for him, hitting .426 and kind of doing the things he's done. How is this disruptive to guys like that, guys who are really standing out and making a name for themselves?
Brandon's a great player, and great players play great. Once he gets a chance to get back on the field, he'll get rolling again. He's a special person, special player. I think he could be one of the top shortstops in the country a year from now. I've enjoyed coaching him and watching, his progress. And, I'm sure he's disappointed, as we all are. But Brandon cares about the team. And Brandon, if you watch his demeanor and, like the game-winning hits and the big hits he got, it wasn't about the hit. It was about the fact he just drove in runs and we had opportunities to win. And so he's learned not to focus on himself and focus on the team. And so I know when we get back in a situation where he's, has the Illinois uniform back on, he'll pick right up where he left off.
Dan, do you think there will be, kind of you're steadily going to be talking to some of these seniors, and if so, are you going to, for your program, are you going to try to convince them to come back, or is it more of, you just kind of feeling out what they might think is right for them?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a two-way. It's going to be a conversation. I'm not going to sit there and push them in one direction. I will give them an opinion based on the research that I do, the information that I have. I've already, at least laid out there. Guys know the way I feel about academics. And the opportunity for some of these guys to get a master's degree, a one-year degree or even two-year degree, and come back and play during that time, and then still have the opportunity to go on and play professionally, I think that's a golden opportunity. But each person's going to have to weigh, what they truly want to do and what drives them. I don't think it'll slow down any of the guys that have draft possibilities. I think what it does, it expedites the process in the minor leagues, because when you're older, they'll try to push you quicker to see what you can handle. And so I don't want to say they won't waste your time in those situations, but it won't be as long a process. So I'll just lay everything out, and guys have to make decisions. Last thing I want is someone to come back and regret their decision, nor do I want them to not come back and regret that decision. So there'll be some good conversations. All the seniors that we're dealing with are very mature. They have very good heads on their shoulders. They've done a good job to put themselves in position to be able to come back and go to graduate school. Those conversations at the right time will be, I think, very, very good and positive conversations. Would I love to have some guys back? Absolutely, I would. But it's got to be under the right circumstances, because if people are back and they're not 100% in, then it's not a good situation for them or anyone around them.
How do you expect guys to kind of continue to try and develop and train on their own? I know that's not really, something necessarily people could even do just because of where they might be. But, what do you kind of do as an athlete now in this position?
Hey, Dan, before you answer this one, we'll have Dan answer this question and do one more after that before we move on to Garrett and Ty.
Okay, so that's a very good question, and it's much like some of the other questions. There's some unknowns right now. You look in Champaign, and a number of the gyms or the Y or whatever closed down, and so just from a strength and conditioning standpoint, need to be programs put together that deal with sheer body weight or things that you can find in your home. Conditioning, you can go out and run and do some things. Our facility is going to be open for guys to continue to throw and hit. A lot of unknowns just as far as facilities. The guys on the team have been through a complete fall and a complete winter, and they know exactly what they need to do and where they are in the process. We will communicate with our guys on a regular basis. There's a little bit of a reporting system that we are putting in place, so we get daily feedback from our guys. Right now the NCAA has said, I think it's April 6th is the up until April 6th you can't have any required workouts, and that's fine. I get that. And but I do know a number of our guys, probably all of them, will continue to work out and try to do what they can to get better. I think that the hope long term is that some things settle down over the next 2 and 3 months, and maybe they'll get a chance to go out and play for maybe 6 weeks in the summer leagues. We're hopeful that happens. But if that does happen, guys will need to be in shape for that. If it doesn't happen, then we'll look to see what's going to happen with the start of school and our guys back, so we can start training again. So there's just so many unknowns, but they will have programs, things that are sent to them that are carefully thought out. That if they will follow those, they'll be in good shape as we move forward.
If I can take the last question, anyone can interrupt me. But what do you kind of do with like guys who are commit that are in high school now, and you can't even like recruit right now. I just don't. If I were you, I have no idea how I would handle something like that.
Well, we are fortunate that there's a number of things there. First of all, the way we recruit. I'm one of the few people in the country that will not, go out and recruit 40 guys per class and then start running guys off and pulling scholarships and things. So we were basically done with our incoming class. I'm excited about that class. I think they'll fit in well. This class coming in, along with the guys we have coming back, we'll have much more depth next year than we had in some areas this year, and that's good because it's going to create competition, and it's also going to give guys an opportunity to not be rushed in the process. Sometimes when you feel like you have to play someone because it's your best option, but maybe it's not the best thing for them with their long-term development. So I am excited about those guys coming in. I honestly don't think that those guys will be playing their seasons this year, and so they're going to be in the same boat we are. A lot of uncharted territory. I think one of my biggest concerns is if they don't play their seasons and they jump into summer baseball, if that's something that happens, that they are in good shape so we don't have any major injuries.